Hi there, and thanks for joining me again for NCIA's weekly episodes of NCIA Today. I'm your host, Bethany Moore, NCIA's Deputy Director of Communications, checking in with you every week on Fridays with updates on what's happening in the industry and here at NCIA. First, a quick reminder to check out our congressional scorecard. Look up your senators. See if they're a co-sponsor of the Safe Banking Act, and then either thank them for their support or tell them why this bill is important for not only the cannabis industry itself, but also public safety. If you haven't heard about our brand new membership packages this year for NCIA members, check out all the new benefits for each membership tier, especially our newest top tier membership level called Evergreen for policy-focused cannabis companies. Head to thecannabisindustry.org/join to learn more about our new membership packages, Evergreen, Blooming, and Seedling. And of course, NCIA is currently accepting applications for speakers at all three of our trade shows happening later this year. You can submit your proposals from now through May 24th at thecannabisindustry.org/speaker application 2021. The deadline again is May 24th. Next, before I highlight some of the new content on our website, we'll be checking in with NCIA's Deputy Director of Government Relations, Michelle RudderFrederick.
DC, so can't complain.
That's great. The sun is back out here in Denver as well, and my garden is starting to bloom, so good times. So I wanted to check in with you quickly this week. I know we've been following the Safe Banking Act and looking at some other possible comprehensive legislation coming down, but I was really excited when you shared a new bill that was introduced. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, we're changing it up a little this week. Usually people hear from me and I'm here to talk about safe banking, about descheduling cannabis, but today we're talking about the newest cannabis related bill to be introduced to Congress. And I say that and I'm like, is it the newest one? Because it's like, there are so many usually, but this one is the newest one. It's HR 2932, which is the Veterans Cannabis Analysis, Research, and Effectiveness Act. So the acronym for that is the CARE Act. And this bill was introduced by two freshman GOP members, actually, Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks, who's from Iowa, and Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who's from South Carolina. And I think it's notable with both of them. Obviously, you could tell from the title that this bill has to do with veterans' access to cannabis. And I just think it's notable that not only are these two women freshmen, but they both have really strong ties to the military community. Congresswoman Miller Meeks is a veteran herself, and Congresswoman Mace was the first female graduate of the Citadel. And for those who don't know, the Citadel is a public senior military college down in South Carolina where her district is. And so this bill I thought was interesting for a number of reasons. You know, it directs the Secretary of Veterans Affairs to conduct research on the use of medical cannabis to treat veterans suffering from things like PTSD, chronic pain, and it says other conditions the secretary determines appropriate. So pretty broad there, obviously. But I thought this bill was really interesting because it also stipulates that this research has to be done on both plants and extracts, at least 3 varieties of cannabis that contain various amounts of both THC and CBD, and has to include varying methods of the delivery. So talking about topicals, talking about combustible versus non-combustible cannabis, which, you know, I'm not sure that we've seen in one of these research bills before. So I thought that was really, really interesting. But this bill certainly is not the only piece of legislation related to veterans and cannabis, that's for sure.
That's great news for veterans, though. We haven't seen any legislation for veterans come out in a little while here. And I know our armed forces are still trying to find access to cannabis to replace some of these pharmaceuticals or just to treat their chronic issues. So yeah, this does sound really interesting with the in-depth research that this bill calls for. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's terrible. I don't know, I really want to call attention to this issue. My dad is a veteran. I grew up in a Navy family, and so this is certainly something that I hold dear to my heart. But some people don't realize that, again, because of cannabis's Schedule 1 status, there's so much obviously that comes along with the difficulty with that. And one of the biggest ones, of course, is again that our veterans cannot access, the medicine that they need. And it's a huge problem, and something that, Congress really has to be the ones to change. And so definitely frustrating. But like I said, we have this bill, the CARE Act. There's also the Medical Cannabis Research Act. There is the Cannabidiol and Marijuana Research Expansion Act. There is the Veterans Medical Marijuana Safe Harbor Act. And there's the Veterans Cannabis Use for Safe Healing Act. So those are all different cannabis bills. Some of them are in both the House and the Senate. Some are just over in the House. But obviously an issue that members of Congress are taking really, really seriously. Veterans issues obviously is something that pulls really, really strongly in both parties. And I think it's something that certainly members of Congress would like to see some relief for our veterans. So really, really important topic. We're still a few weeks out from Memorial Day, but again, really important to highlight this issue and something that we should continue to talk about more and advocate for.
Absolutely. More progress for our veterans. Great news. Thanks again, Michelle, for that update. And we'll see how this bill moves along and maybe gets a Senate companion soon. We'll see.
Yep, we'll see. I'll keep you guys informed. Don't worry.
Great. Well, thank you again, Michelle. Have a good one.
All right. Bye, Bethany.
All right, let's take a quick look at some of this week's content on NCIA's Industry Insights blog, in case you missed it. NCIA's Banking and Financial Services Committee offers the third installment in their blog series on fundraising basics for your cannabis company. In the final part of this blog on funding your business, the committee presents some formal round structures, how you can best prepare for those finance rounds, and some ways to bring your friends along for the ride. Next, EAS Consulting Group shares advice for manufacturers by which hemp-derived ingredients can be legally incorporated into food. While we wait on the FDA to draft regulations for manufactured hemp-derived products, it is difficult for businesses to make decisions on what products to pursue. The GRAS path, which stands for Generally Recognized as Safe, offers a route out of this conundrum. Read more in their blog. Also, NCIA members CBD Oracle takes us to the state of Minnesota to talk about how cannabis legalization can actually help further equality in the state and break down barriers that have been long deeply rooted. And here's my favorite line from author Mel Green. If we want to erase cannabis's racially charged stigma, the answer is holistic. It starts with a community. Also, the NCIA team and the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee have recently announced the launch of a new podcast, NCIA's Cannabis Minority Report. Check out the episodes on NCIA's website with host Khadija Adams. You can also catch it live on NCIA's Facebook page every Monday morning at 1:00 p.m. Eastern. All right, let's wrap up this week's show with some reminders. Remember to start getting ready for our Midwest Cannabis Business Conference, now September 22nd and 23rd in Detroit, Michigan, and our 7th annual Cannabis Business Summit and Expo, December 15th through 17th in San Francisco, plus the Eastern Cannabis Business Conference in Baltimore, Maryland, December 7th through 8th. Reach out now to learn more about opportunities to secure your booth on the expo floor. And if you're interested in speaking, submit your proposal by May 24th. Got the NCIA mobile app on your phone yet? Now let it keep coming out on Google Play and the App Store. As always, subscribe to our weekly email newsletter and our weekly podcast, NCIA's Cannabis Voice and NCIA's Cannabis Minority Report. In the meantime, our team in DC is staying on top of cannabis policy reform efforts in Congress, and NCIA's weekly webinar series keeps you connected with the industry and up to date on best practices and regulatory issues. Now is a great time to make sure you're following our social media channels on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to check out all the great content and inspiration we're sharing. If you're a member of NCIA, log into NCIA Connect and spark up a conversation with your fellow NCIA members and colleagues today. We'll see you next week.
So we're very proud to be NCIA members. We've been members for the last 3 years, and I gotta say, every event, every conference, every get together that's sponsored by NCIA is a good opportunity, not just to meet others in the industry, obviously, but really to talk about the industry as a whole, where it's going, where it's been, our challenges to date.
We feel really grateful to NCIA for including us in the educational tracks the last 3 years. We've been at every seed to sale and most of the shows on the West Coast.
Every time we're here, I always have a sense that it's not just another one of these industry conferences, that it's actually that it is the industry's lobbying arm, and that it's an organization that is protecting all of us and fighting for the legal future that we all need.
At the end of the day, the most important and impactful thing for us is the community. It's really about the people that NCIA brings together, and the events like this one that NCIA organizes for us to gather.
If you're in this industry, NCIA is trying to influence it positively for you. If you're not speaking up, if you're not participating in committees, you're missing out on a huge window. Everyone wants change. Well, this is one of the ways you do it.
You don't have to be a member of the NCIA. You could just do nothing and let them do everything for you and fix all the problems that need to be fixed for the industry to work properly, and you could just sit on the sidelines. That would be fine, but it'd be better if you were a member.